to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to thrive by. And I'm here with my main man. I'm not even going to say it.
And I'm waiting for a new name.
I know. What should I call you? I call you Mr. B, Mr. Benny?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for something else. I don't know for some reason.
Well,
I feel like something
I'm not going to
else.
use like the flub I did the other day on the stage.
Well, maybe that's what I'm looking for, something like that.
You know what? This is such a really crazy deal because, there's no way I'm going to call you like a boy
Can
toy.
it be my boy
I can't do it because like I'm old enough to be your like mother.
So?
And so that is like so crazy. But you know what? I have a great guest on today.
Yes,
It's going to help us through this issue.
Yeah.
She's going to help us through this issue. As a matter of fact, all of our guests today can help us through this issue. And I'm talking about Eve Michaels. She is first up out of the gate, followed by Byron Katie, followed by Sue Storm, the Angel Lady. So if you haven't really gotten enough of the Dr. Pat Show, which started at 8 o'clock this morning with Guy Finley, fasten your seat belt. And I love what I'm getting ready to talk about. I want to introduce everybody here today to Eve. And first of all, the reason I want to introduce you to her is because, we're having a conversation today that is about a ray of hope, a light for beauty, and a nation of people who have let themselves go. And this is not let my people go story. That's not what we're talking about. And we're not talking about letting go of crust and all of those things that those things that no longer serve us. But we're talking with Eve, internationally acclaimed, inspirational beauty coach, who is on a mission to share her knowledge and her methods of how we could look and feel our very best and how that happens. And so today, we're talking with her about that and much more. And I want to say to all of you that there are many ways that you can get a sense of who she is and ways to connect with her. For those of you that are listening on the East Coast, we've got some dates for you as well as those people, those of you that are in Los Angeles, so that you can connect directly with her. And so, we're looking at, is it just for women? Or do men need to get something going on here? And I am so glad you didn't shave today, Benny.
Why?
Because we're going to be talking with Eve. Eve, thank you so much for joining the Dr. Pat Show. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be with you. I'm so in alignment with your decrusting of the world.
And some possible shaving tips, right?
and possible decrusting shaving tips. Yes. So that people can see the light. And I feel that what I do is so aligned with that letting go of that crust, the outer and inner negativity that doesn't serve us anymore, and stepping into our own glory so that we can be a real ray of light, not only to our families, but to everyone we meet every day.
Well, and I love what you're doing as well. And let's start the conversation about you for a minute and, about the journey. And about what you have learned and why you're so passionate, first of all, about the work that you do, the transformational workshops, and the many other things that you do. Your Fast Track to Fabulous and image and beauty boot camps, et cetera. I mean, all of this had to start from a place, I believe, where you might have been at a crossroads. And I want to ask you, what were some of the challenges you had to overcome in order for you to create this and bring you to this very moment?
Oh, it was a long journey, and if people look at my website, they'll see my before picture at age 42 and at 38 and 42, and I had gotten into the trap that so many women do in this country, taking care of everybody else but myself, and just treading water, trying to balance my life, and finding myself more unhealthy, more unhappy, more out of alignment with who I really was as each year passed. And then I had an awakening through my 5-year-old son, who asked me one day very abruptly what those flappies were on my arms.
Wow.
And as all the women can relate, if you can't fool your 5-year-old about how out of shape you are, who are you fooling? And that really was an epiphany for me. As much as that may sound kind of trite, I was really letting myself, I really let myself go physically. So the first part of my awakening was, I got to get healthy. And I really believe when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I found a fabulous trainer to teach me how to lift weights and really embrace being physically fit. And then natural healers and homeopathic doctors and all that. So I started to look really, really great again. And I knew about image because I was an image consultant. Of course, I look back now at my pictures, Pat, and I said, who the heck hired me then? But they did.
Honestly, Eve, I've got to say this to you.
Yes.
I've been on your website. I've looked at what you're referring to. And for those of you that are listening to the show and you want to take a look at what we're talking about, I want to just make sure everybody's got the website, because those of you listening online, you can take a look at this right now and you're going to be like, what? EveMichaels.com, EveMichaels.com. And I'm looking at these pictures, and you know what I'm saying? I'm saying that cannot be you.
Yeah, it was. But the person I was then is not the person I am now. The core was, yes. But it was so clouded, or you would say crusted with negativity. So I became healthier, and I had a good figure, and I dressed well, and I had all the trappings, and I was still miserable. So that's a frightening moment for everyone, when you think you have what you want, but you're still miserable. And I realized that I had to go within. And someone introduced me to the concepts of Abraham, Esther, and Jerry Hicks.
Oh, yeah.
And back then we didn't have DVDs. This was 15 years ago, and I started listening to the tapes and went to one of her seminars, and I found out I wasn't a victim. Wow. Novel moment, right? Earth-shattering moment. I said, wait a minute, I can change my life? So I did a 180. I got a divorce, and I'm not advocating that for people, but I was in an unhappy marriage. So I got a divorce, and I started my life over. And I kind of feel like I went from the bottom up. And in that journey of finding true happiness, my clients kept saying, what are you doing? You're growing younger. You're getting better looking. You seem so happy. There's a radiance about you. And as I started to study many, many years ago, the law of manifestation, the law of manifesting, the law of attraction, I realized that beauty has a very high aesthetic, a very high vibration on the vibrational scale or tonal scale, that no one was connecting to health and spirituality. And so what I did through many years of research was begin to put all the pieces together. In other words, Pat, people who are spiritual think you have to look like a yogi sitting in the Himalayas.
Right.
You can't look glamorous and stylish. And if you're stylish and beautiful, people think you're the B word. I don't know if you can say that on air, but
Benny will beep us if we can't.
Okay, well, they think you're a bitch, and
right.
and if you're into fitness, well, then you're not into the other. And so no one was connecting the dots. And so when I finally did that, I said I have to share this with people, and people were fascinated, sharing health, fitness, spirituality, the mind, body, spirit connection. And then I started doing the boot camps because I was only able to reach one at a time doing personal consulting. So with big seminars, platform speaking, and now these boot camps, I'm able to facilitate rapid transformation of women and men. We've started a men's program, too. You were asking about men.
I was.
Yes, and the letters continue to pour in every week about how when people go back home, how their whole lives are transforming because of this. And I think what I'm really doing is just helping them remember who they really are inside, and helping them to bring that out so that the world can see who they really are. That vibrancy, that beauty, whatever whatever kind of life they want to have, if they want to achieve more success, attract a better relationship, we have a responsibility to communicate who we are through our image. And I don't know, Pat, maybe you know, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you feel better because you look better? Do you look better because you feel better? I think it kind of hand in hand, don't you?
Well, I think you're bringing up a really interesting point. And the other part of this may be that as an individual, and I think you and I probably can point to different points in time in our lives where, one was that I looked better and then I felt better, or that I felt better and then I looked better.
Right.
And I guess the point is, especially about what you're saying, is that whatever works for you.
Right.
Whatever works for all of you listening to the show. I think that for many of us, when you're in that place of needing a change. And
yes.
Eve, you just shared that.
Yes, you do. And people come to me, and so many people come to me from all walks of life. We have We had a girl at 19 at our last boot camp. I've had women through 72 years old. Every walk of life you can imagine, every possible career. But there's one common thread. Their self-esteem, their self-confidence, and their sense of worthiness all seems to be very low. And I'm not saying that you have to be downtrodden to come and have a transformation, but I started wondering, why in this country have we let ourselves go so much? Now, I do get people from the UK and Jamaica and Canada, but I see in North America that people have really let their physicality, their health, and their beauty go. And my daughter and I call it Airport America. You know, if you go to any airport, it's kind of shocking, don't you think, nowadays? Well, how people have let go of their appearance. Well,
I was, my best friend Linda and I got an email from her the other day, and she said, "Did you watch The Biggest Loser?" And I said, "No, I actually, I worked late, and so I didn't get to watch the whole thing." And so we began to talk about it. And, here's a show that at this point in time, clearly there is something going on there. But what they are, what they have in their highlights feature right now is they have the largest people they've ever had on the show. The youngest, the largest woman. And I'm not really sure what that message is. Certainly to watch people change and transform. But they really refer to it as the micro of the macro of what's happening.
And it saddens me. It is. But let me say something else about that. I really believe that beauty comes in all sizes, shapes, colors.
I do too.
We've had some phenomenal women. We've done, live makeovers on that are plus-size women and, 16s and 18s, and I've worked with women all the way through size 24. Size is irrelevant, but I'm talking about having vibrancy, a joy for life, health, positive energy, a radiance about ourselves that we've lost.
Why do you think we've lost it?
I think
what's happened?
It just, when you think back to the 60s through the 80s, mass America, middle America, looked pretty much like the First Lady and the President.
That is so true.
Right?
Oh, my God. My mother had the whole hair thing going on.
Yeah, Jackie O, we had the pillbox hats and all that. Not that you and I are old enough to remember, of course, but, And when we traveled, we wore beautiful clothes on the airplane. It was a treat. And you went to the theater, you dressed up. We emulated those figures. Now, can you imagine President and Miss Obama looking like the rest of, most of America, middle America? I mean, seriously.
Wow.
Who would elect them? And so we've lost that pride. We went to casual, and then slovenliness. And that's not who we really are. We used to be the light that would shine for the whole world. And now with a globalized economy, other countries are looking at us. They come over here, I know, because I have so many international clients, and they're scratching their heads saying, this is America? This is the way people look here? And, Pat, in most countries, they have a much tougher time finding ready-to-wear clothing and all the goods that we have at such a wide variance of prices. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is really time for us, and I said this morning, this is a wake-up call in so many ways.
Yeah.
I want to mention to everyone, Eve Michaels joining me here today. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I've got in my hot little hand Eve's top 20 tips to energize your wow. Energize your wow. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some of those because, there are things you can do. There are things you can do right in this moment, and who better to help me with this than the amazing Eve Michaels. We'll be right back.
Review mirror, pictures frozen in time are becoming clearer. I don't want to waste another day stuck in the shadow of my mistake.
Performance Velocity brings you the breakthrough human performance formula. ETA equals R, where energy intelligence is the key competency for the successful business leader. Are you ready for this emerging trend? You can ignite leadership, accelerate execution, and deliver peak performance every time. Performance Velocity can help you, your management team, or your company. Call 303-744-2464. Human performance is their business. Visit performancevelocity.com and start getting results now.
Did you know that nearly 60,000 dogs and cats are euthanized every year in Western Washington? Posado's Safe Haven Space Station, a state-of-the-art mobile vet clinic, travels to the areas that need help the most. Posado's is reducing the number of unwanted animals by making spaying and neutering easy, safe, and inexpensive. To check the space station schedule or to read more, please visit posadosafehaven.org. That's P-A-S-A-D-O safehaven.org.
Would you like to smile more and feel more joy in your life? Fly High Joy's funny, delightful, inspiring items have proven to put big smiles on people's faces and make them feel good. That's why their joyful creations will be given to all the top nominees at the 2009 Academy Awards. So, to get big smiles and feel good now, visit flyhighjoy.com or call 888-569-1332.
Hi, I'm Paul McCormick. Are you concerned about your money and your future? We are entering an economic crisis like never before. If you're counting on the system to take care of you, you will lose, and I don't want that to happen. Here's what I can offer. I'll give you absolutely free my 6-CD series on how to take control of your own money. All you have to do is go to my website, formulaformillionaires.com, or go to any bookstore this month and buy my book titled Secrets of the Millionaire Inside.
Unlock your divine power and become the true master of your life with visionary clairvoyant Carrie O'Connor every Monday at 10 a.m. on The Dr. Pat Show. Using her extraordinary connection with Spirit, Carrie can energetically view your true inner blueprint and guide you to your soul's highest purpose. Explore your personal connection to your authentic self and let your spirit soar as it was truly meant to. That's The Carrie O'Connor Show. Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on The Dr. Pat Show. Perf Go Green. Biodegradable by nature, green by choice. Traditional trash bags stay in our landfills and pollute the earth for over 800 years or more. Perf Go Green trash bags disappear naturally within 2 years and leave nothing harmful behind. Convert your home, school, and business to Perf Go Green. Now available at Walgreens, Amazon.com, OfficeMax, and other local stores. Visit perfgogreen.com. That's PERF-GoGreen.com.
No other station brings you this much variety. Welcome to Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. So jazzed about my guest today. Eve Michaels joining me here. You know, this is not just a conversation that she and I have. She actually has these amazing boot camps, these live transformational makeover events. And I want to make sure that everybody out there has got the website, which is evemichaels.com. Very easy. She has a bunch of dates in LA. For those of you LA listeners, I want to make sure that you know there are transformational workshops going on February, March, May, and June. And for all of my peeps in New York, April 16th, 17th, 18th. I actually think I'm going to be there, Eve. I think I'm going to be in New York that time.
Will you come over?
I would love to.
Oh, we'd love to have you.
You can make me over.
Or if you'd like me to,
wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, my gosh.
That would be so great.
We just added another boot camp in June.
Oh, very good.
It will be posted soon. We sold out, and we were actually overbooked for New York, so we had to add another
let's talk about that, because, I had a conversation with someone before we jump into your top 20 tips, or some of them. This is kind of interesting. I had a conversation with a potential sponsor, last week, and they were talking with me about the economy, about this, about that. And when I said to them, I gave him two quotes. The first quote I gave him was from Entrepreneur Magazine, who says that if you don't take your message out during this time, you will be forgotten. That's basically what they're saying.
That's right.
And the people that do will make such a heartfelt connection during these times that they will be remembered forever.
Yeah.
But in the context of that, what I've discovered is that there may be some things people are cutting back on, but I don't think it's in the self-help area. We filled 1,200 seats for Carolyn Mace. I don't think Carolyn has ever filled 1,200 seats in Seattle.
Wow.
And Michael Beckwith, and I was the opening act for that. And so I want to ask you, what are you seeing, and why should people pay attention to Eve's Top 20 now?
Well, they need to pay attention because it's the people who are stepping into being their most magnificent and having that competitive edge that are going to be the people who are going to do well, even right now in this economy. And it's the people who stay focused on positive and not fear. I help people get out of their fear. And if the whole country would get out of their fear and be optimistic and focus on the strengths, and what we need to do now is roll up our sleeves and just work smarter. Maybe a little harder, but smarter.
Right.
And really maximize who we are. In other words, we can't afford not to look our best or be our most positive, because that's what people are needing right now. And those are the people who are going to get the work, get the promotions, and get the business. And the smart ones know that. The people who are really becoming aware are realizing this. And they're also realizing that, look, Pat, most women, if you ask them, they don't even wear 80% of their clothes that they have in their closet, right?
Uh-oh. You've been at my house.
Hey, almost every woman. And so you spend all this time and money and effort on trying to look good, and you're not getting your money's worth out of it. So isn't it better to learn the art and the science, which I teach, of dressing well, and know how to be an effective shopper for the rest of your life, and whatever you spend on will maximize your effectiveness in the world and the impact that you make on people, because how you're perceived is how you're received. And so people are flocking to what we're doing more than ever. We have doubled our boot camps and our sales this year.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't really know how this fits in, but I want to talk about it in terms of your top 20.
Oh, it's very important. It does fit in because everything I do is anchored to spirit.
Yeah. You start out with tip number 1, and I think this is what we're talking about. You say maintain a youthful, open-minded attitude.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, what we have right now, and I would like you to address this by talking about some of the people that have been in your events. When I shared the analogy of being a bunch of rattlesnakes coiling up into a corner and just hiding there, for whatever it would be that would scare us so we could strike back out. And that idea of constriction actually makes my heart hurt as I even say it. And I want to ask you, how are you helping people? How does that first tip help people regardless of the economy?
Well, when you have an open-minded, youthful, fresh attitude, you look at each day as a beginning of great possibilities. Not a day to be feared, but a day to be embraced. That every day you have alive, you are a gift to this world, and the world is a gift to you. And if we just do an attitude adjustment, everything starts to look better. So when you're young, you're not afraid. Children left in their natural state before we put our negativity into them as adults. But when they're born and they're young, everything is, wow, this is fabulous and new and exciting, and they're happy. And if we can go back to that way of thinking, the world starts to open up to us, because by virtue of the law of attraction, what we focus on with intention and feeling, we draw to us. So as you said, if we recoil in fear, what we fear will appear.
Oh.
And part of being your best and being beautiful is having a sparkle in your eyes and walking into rooms. As Reverend Michael Beckwith says from Agape, you walk in with your presence knowing that your presence will illuminate that room. You don't come in with body language that, you're closed off and your heart's closed and, oh, this is awful. You walk in to uplift. And so when we begin our boot camps or when I work with people privately, we always begin with their attitude, remembering who they are inside and giving themselves permission to let that shine through. And it's so helpful in this economy. And I don't even like to say this economy, Pat.
I don't either. But, I don't know how to refer to it. I mean, I could go back historically in my own life and refer to it as a bleep on the radar, honestly, because, you and I have been through... We've been through the fire.
Yes, we've been through the tough times. We've been through no money. We've been through hell. We've been through not having a good relationship and not being happy.
I know what it's like to be homeless. I was homeless at 17. I mean,
Wow.
you know, I know that if it wasn't for a hotel owner opening the door and saying, yeah, you could stay here and pay me next week, I'm not sure if I'd be sitting here talking with you. But what you're sharing is so significant, Eve. I want to make sure that people, especially us at the show, we help you maintain this message. Because we have to come together on this, not yesterday, but now.
That's right. And, you know, it's interesting. In my students in the boot camp this past week, they said, one of the women stood up and said, I'm willing to let go of my stories now.
Wow, that's very powerful. What have you seen? What have been some of the greatest transformations or shifts or changes? I mean, you must have so many. But people that are following your tips, people that are willing to make that kind of change, what have you seen?
Well, their careers have blossomed. They've found the person of their dreams. People have come to me. One lady came to me last week. Her husband and they saw me speak at Harv Ecker's event, All Your Relations. They were ready to get a divorce. Their finances were just in the toilet, and they thought, well, we'll just do this. We'll do this one more thing together. And they saw me speak, and they decided to sign up for the boot camp, and they got the book, and they started loving each other more. This is a true story. She actually took my prayer from the book and laminated it with some wild words of wisdom on the back and carries it with her and reads it 3 times a day. They started exercising. Anyway, they started taking better care of themselves, being more loving. Her husband, who barely had work, now doubled. He got 2 huge contracts. Her income went way up. And then she came to the boot camp, and we totally revamped her image. Her husband can't keep her hands off of her now. You know, we did the sexy European lingerie and the whole thing. We do all of that in the boot camp. And she says she can barely get out the door. But they're so happy. Their marriage is way back on track. I had a woman just write me a letter last night, which I'll probably be posting on my website. She's a female airline pilot. Wow. And she was living in a very masculine world and thought she had to be hard and tough and masculine. Well, when we broke that barrier down, it was like a light went off in her. And she wrote an article, which she sent to me last night, which is going to go in the Female Pilots magazine, about how embracing her femininity and her beauty and knowing that she could be strongly feminine and yet be in a male-dominated industry was so earth-shattering for her, so awakening for her, that she wanted to share that with the world. And the transformation we saw from kind of dull and hardened to lovely and bright and feminine was amazing. I watched this, and I said to you during the break, I'm relentless in my pursuit of their excellence until I see that light go on in their eyes. And there's an actual energetic and physical shift that occurs for the women and the men. And once that happens, I know I have done my job. They are transformed, and they will never, ever go back to the way they were. They will continue on this path of improvement. I just know it. And I know it based on the letters that come in years later of how they've continued to grow and blossom. So what I'm doing is just facilitating that light to turn on in them. And the stories are amazing. There's a lot of testimonials on the website. I'm going to continue to post these letters as they come through. I have a whole bunch of new ones to put up. And that's what's happening. In this economy, people need this more than ever because we have to realize that sometimes things have to be shaken up and kind of break up to wake us up. And this is our wake-up call.
It is our wake-up call. And I want to thank you, Eve, so much for joining us here today.
Oh, thank
because
you,
the message that you're sharing is, it's a wake-up call to a brand new day. It's a wake-up call to a beautiful sunrise. It's a wake-up call to stepping into our wildest dreams. And that's the vision that I think each and every one of us is creating. And you are certainly in the forefront. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Pat. And may I say one thing to the listeners?
Sure.
Always know that you can have it all. And all of you are beautiful, all of you. And I applaud you all for having the wisdom to know that.
EveMichaels.com is the website. What a great way to end this segment. Eve, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to take a short break here on the Dr. Pat Show. We're just warming up here. I think Eve has certainly set the bar pretty high for today, and the ball's in your court. We'll be right back.
Garden party to reminisce with my old friends. A chance to share old memories and play our songs again. When I got to the garden party,